little commercial. Okay, we coming through today with the stuff. So how are you? Well, first of all, hello everyone. Welcome to the Power Nap Live. I'm Dr. Erin Wilson, and here with the co-hostess with the mostest, Dr. K, who's on location this time, y'all. We be working, but we still be coming to show up for y'all every week because we're showing up for ourselves, okay? But I can't wait to hear a little more about where you are. So, how are you? I always start off asking, how are you? And so I'm going to start today off with that. How are you, Dr. K?
Yeah, sleepy. I'm in California, so it's 8 a.m. here, and so my body
Oh,
hasn't fully adjusted from the East Coast time zone. So it's like I feel like it's later, but a part of my body is like, no, you just went to bed not so long ago. So that's there. But other than that, enjoying the better weather that's here. Still a little cool, but it's manageable. So I'm okay. I'm here for a while at a conference. So yeah, we're gonna make the best of it.
I love it. I love that you're there for a conference. Listen, one of the things that I missed most, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, but it's true. People ask me all the time, like, so for folks who do not know, right? I have a background in higher education in lots of stuff, but higher education was quite a bit of the time that how I spent my career before I moved into full time entrepreneurship, well, into hospitality and then into full-time entrepreneurship. But one of the things people will ask me all the time about, what did I miss about higher education, and I would be like sometimes racking my brain to figure out exactly like what those pieces were. But the one thing that would always come to me would be going to conferences. I didn't know how much. Now it would be conference on my own with my own rules, right? Like one of the things that I always love about you, Dr. K, is you always have rules of engagement, the way that people, boundaries that you set for yourself. And so to me, one of the things that I would always miss is going to conferences with my own rules of how I would engage with people. So yes. So I know
Yep.
that you're having a good time. What has been one of the highlights of you being of your time at this conference?
Yeah, sitting at the pier. So I'm by the Long Beach Convention Center, and right across the street from it is the pier. I forgot what they call it, Rainbow something. And I love water. And so after lunch yesterday, I walked there to the pier and sat down and just watched the water, watched the boats. And for me, that is relaxation. That is, I don't know, that's home.
Yeah.
That's a piece of home, even though I didn't grow up around water. But something about water is home, where I can hear clarity, where I can hear God the most. And actually, yesterday, as I was sitting there, I was like, I wonder if this space of water being home and a clarity from God is because in 2005, when I was in college, in one of my PE classes, I guess you call it, I had a near death drowning experience. And um, in that experience, I remember seeing the white light. I remember saying, God, I'm okay if this is it.
Wow.
And him whispering in my ear, you're giving up too fast. I'm not done with you yet. And then the next thing I knew, I was waking up with, the ambulance was there, paramedics, all them people was there. Um, it was a tough time recovering from that because my lungs were full of chlorine. So I
Mm.
remember, having a lung specialist, all of these things. But I heard him so clear in that moment, even though I was comfortable and ready. which
Wow.
I sometimes think about why was I? And I think it was because
Yeah.
I don't know what I've done. Like I don't know what else I can do but trust God. And in that moment was I trusted him with everything and he gave me life again. And so when I'm near water, I feel that, which is why I'm always like, I have to get to water. I have to get to water when I need clarity in spaces. So yeah, that was probably the highlight and probably will be the highlight of my time here in Long Beach.
Wow. First of all, thank you for sharing that. I did know that about you, but I just think it's such a powerful story and for a few reasons, right? Like number one, of course, like that there's so much more work that you have to do and that like had that been the moment that was the end of your life, we wouldn't be here sitting here talking about something that saves, that people have walked up to me many times saying this saved my life. Like you and Dr. K talking about strategic rest, right? Talking about what I need in order to be my best self. That's number one. But number two, one of the things that I had never connected is just how like powerful water is in your story, even in our story. Like I feel like I've told this story before, but I don't know in this space. One of the places that really secured our friendship was us
Yeah.
going to Charleston, meeting each other for the first time, and you talking me into going to the beach, right? Like another conference that you snuck off to water at, but standing there on the beach and watching you fully just embrace the water was something that like number one I will never forget, and number two, had I known then that that would just be one of the many journeys and things that you would pull me in on, I just had no idea. But I remember taking a photo of you, and you don't really like, okay, folks who don't know Dr. K, she does not actually like photos taken of her. Okay. Now I didn't know this. We weren't friends yet. We just knew each other. She had taken a chance on me to hire me to do some work for her as a consultant, and really like one of the stair steps that got me to where I am today. But I couldn't help it. It was just such a like majestic, like awe-inspired moment. So I looked over because I saw her and I snapped a photo of her just peering off into the water, like before we even had a word for it, really like deeply strategically resting, right? And so I snapped a photo. I had to, right? So after we leave, I send her the photo and just go, thank you for being an inspiration, right? Like, thank you for allowing me in your circle. Thank you for all of these pieces. And she goes, wait a minute, what did you say? When did you take this photo? And I was like, on the beach, like, I,
Yeah,
I was so
I
grateful.
remember.
You remember, like, strategic rest has always just been a part of our story, even when we didn't have the language to share it with other
Yeah.
people. And I'm so
Hmm.
grateful that we've had that journey together. So, and water, that just, I'm with you. Whenever, at least once a year, right? I have to figure out a way to be in water. There's something about like staring out at the water that just makes you feel small, to me, in the best way, right? And it brings
Yeah.
so much clarity. Like, I don't know why we can hear so peacefully. And so my thing is, if you're not hearing all the things that you want to be hearing, have you strategically rested near water? Dr. K, before you hop in, I want to shout out someone who's here. So future doctor, I'm gonna always say that. Willie Sublet, thank you so much for being here this morning. Feel free, you guys, drop your thoughts into the chat. As you know, we post them. Well, some of them as they come in, but thank you for being here this morning. I love that this is a good way to get the best way, okay, to get your Sunday started. Thank you for that. Absolutely. So, Dr. K, um tell me more about like what water does. Like as we think about strategic rest, like what else um how else can we connect that to water?
So going back to what you just said in terms of something about water bringing clarity, and I think about, water continuously moves.
Mm,
And when you're seeking clarity, sometimes you're in a space where you're not able to sit still, and you have to continuously move.
yeah.
And if I'm continuously moving, I'm allowing different things and places and spaces to come at me. And I get to attach to whatever I need to attach to for what I need. And so
Mm,
as I think about, and I wrote a blog about it a while ago, as I think about water and, like the seashells and all the things that are in there, when you're at the beach, at the cusp of the water, and the water comes in, it'll move things, and then it'll go back out. And the things
mm,
it moves, it stays there. And you get to
mm,
decide if you're going to pick that up or not.
mm,
And so I think of the people and the spaces and places and things in life as seashells.
mm.
They come from all over the world with different experiences, different journeys. And in some moment, because I kept moving, um, the water came and shifted them to me. And so I get the opportunity to pick them up and listen, or and put it back down, or listen and keep it and take it with me home, right? So water for me in the strategic rest space is about prioritizing where I'm standing.
Wow. Prioritizing where you're standing.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And that sometimes that requires movement, right? It
Yeah.
requires you to be in a different place, in a different space, in order for you to, oh my goodness. So just a reminder, remember folks, we Dr. K and I wrote a book, Strategic Rest in Leadership. The NAP framework for leadership is exactly why we're here. And so that exactly what she's saying, prioritizing is that last piece of the framework that we wrote, and prioritizing where you are standing. To me,
Yeah.
if strategic rest is not happening for you where you are, then maybe it means you have to move, right?
Hmm.
It doesn't mean
Exactly.
you can't ever go back to that same space. Again, not telling you to quit your job. I'm not telling you to quit your job. I'm not telling you to quit your church. I'm not telling you to quit your bag. Okay. I'm not saying that, but I am saying that maybe it requires movement in the moment. Maybe it
Yeah.
requires you reassessing the places where nurture, a part of the framework, happen for you.
Yeah.
So, I love that.
Yeah, because I mean, you think about it. You stand in a lot of places. You walk in a lot of places. In most places, you stand and walk. You don't even want to be there.
Yeah.
You're there because, oh, my boss told me, or my friends are here, and etc. And you find yourself in those spaces like, I could be doing a million other things that bring me joy,
Mm, mm,
but I'm so stuck in the space of doing so much for other people and neglecting my
mm,
own peace, my own joy, because
mm,
that's not what brings them joy,
mm.
right? So being that person that's always having to compromise
Yeah.
without promise to self,
Yes.
right? And so my promise to myself is to always do things that bring me joy.
Mm,
And every time I do the opposite, I'm breaking that promise to myself. I'm breaking that commitment to myself.
mm, mm.
And if I can so easily do that for myself, then what really am I doing in these spaces with other people? I'm just there. I'm not
Yeah.
even fully me there.
Mm,
So in the book we talk about prioritizing, being intentional about time and energy.
mhm.
Um, when time happens, it happens. You don't get that back.
Yeah.
And recognizing what brings you energy, what refuels you, and all the spaces and things that you do is important. And when you get a grasp of the two, that I have to continuously be energized by doing X, Y, and Z, and I know my time here is limited, and I start looking at those hand in hand, I begin to prioritize where I stand, where I place myself. So I just hope people get serious about them. As I tell folks, stop letting people play in your faces.
Okay. I was on I recorded this week for a fantastic podcast called If This World Were Mine. I believe I have to drop some more info in the chat about that. One of the podcast how would you say? Oh, host. There we go. I could not think of the word host for anything right then. One of the podcast hosts is a very, very good friend of mine, Dr. Whitney Boyd. And then Paulette is also on there. But one of the questions that they asked me, because we were talking about strategic rest this week, was what do you say to people who feel guilty about finding time for strategic rest? And of course, I shared some other things, but ultimately, I told them that's not what you need to be feeling guilty about. You need to be feeling guilty about the fact that you're not prioritizing strategic rest and showing up as your best self for the people in the spaces that you're called to be in, right? So I was like, that guilt is misplaced around that. So to me, even you, right? Because there are tons of people that for work go to conferences, they're there locked into the conference and come back not feeling rested or rejuvenated, which some people may go, well, that ain't what you're there for. But I can guarantee you that if you find space, even in those moments, like you did, you could have gone and come back and never took a moment for strategic rest, but you're coming back better for it, right? So I want to challenge people this week to really look for ways, even in the things that non-traditionally provide, even the things that aren't set up to provide you rest. Because most people think of conferences as, man, I'm gonna be going the whole time. I gotta go to all these things. I gotta whatever. So whatever that is in your life this week, I want you to be intentional about finding a space, the power in the pause, right? I want you to find the power in the pause. Pause, find something somewhere, even if it's 2 minutes, that just brings you strategic rest, right? That brings you a moment of clarity. I want to challenge you to be intentional about that this week, because that's exactly what Dr. K did, right?
Yeah, I think it's a language too. Like, rather than saying I have to go to these conferences. I have to go to this workshop. I have to do this. I have. No, what if it's I get to? Like when you change the language and how you speak, it does something in your mind to shift the feelings and emotions that are attached with the words that you're saying. So as long as I keep saying I have to, my emotions and feelings becomes, I'm already drained already. Versus, I get to take this long flight to Long Beach and I'm asleep. And when I get there, it's going to be raining, but I get to rest even more after this flight versus, I have to get up at 5 a.m., which I did. Get on this flight at 5 a.m., go to the West Coast. And that, like, it's a whole different mindset. So if people learn to shift the language, it will automatically shift your mindset around the feelings and emotions you have about said thing. And so at conferences, when I talk about my rules of engagement, it's so that my mindset is in a positive space and not a negative, right? So I get to get up and go to these sessions. I'm choosing not to. Go to these sessions because I don't want to, versus I have to go and accept. So it's a language thing. And when people operate in the same language and speak the same language, there's intersection, there's interaction, there's a common way of speaking. But when we talk about strategic rest, because people haven't begun to shift their language around what that means, we're talking foreign to them around this idea of strategic rest. And so I hope that as people not only read the book, but watch this, interact with us together individually, that they pick up this language, they learn the language and start using it.
Yes, because it is a mindset shift. I haven't gotten a chance because I'm trying to catch up so that when we see each other in a week, Oh my goodness, we're gonna see each other in person, I think, in about a week or so. We have a shared client that we're going to present about strategic rest to in just a week. So I'm trying to catch up on the Sweet Magnolias so that I'm ready for a discussion. So I'm ready for a discussion. Okay,
I'm rewatching it.
a few episodes ago, Dr. K talked about Sweet Magnolias, right? And I had not watched it. I had seen it on Netflix, and I was just like, no, not my jam or whatever. But one of the things that she pointed out about it was their ability as friends to, no matter what was happening in their lives, to still get together to do what they call margarita night. Now, again, I'm not advocating for margarita night. Do what you must, okay? Somebody said not the Sweet Magnolia. Yes, okay. So, one of the things that Dr. K pointed out in there is a thing that had me so inspired this week, and it really was them. So if you don't know much about the characters, and if you haven't watched, it really is kind of like a silly little town shenanigans. Like, you described it perfectly. Okay, like when I watch it, I always think about what you said about it in my mind. But some of the characters, actually all three of the main characters, I may have lost Dr. K for a second, but that's okay because I got time to tell you about this. So all three of the characters have very busy lives. Okay, you have one who is a lawyer, and I feel like maybe the only lawyer in the town, the way that they act like she is or whatever. You have another one who is a mother of three, who's like going through a divorce, and her ex-husband shenanigans. I don't know how many more. Well, I don't want to spoiler alert for anybody who watches it, but shenanigans. Okay, shenanigans and banana hammocks. As I say to my sister all the time, okay? And then the final Sweet Magnolia, I wouldn't call them Steel Magnolias, but they're Sweet Magnolias. The final Sweet Magnolia is a woman who is the head chef at her own restaurant, okay? So these are busy women. They're not just sitting around like not doing anything. In addition to all of their career or jobs that they have, right? Because listen, being a stay-at-home mom is a job. I only got a dog, and when Harley is here with me, when Harley Quinn is here and I'm trying to do stuff, it is tough. Okay, so I can imagine having three other humans that need your attention. So all of these women are busy, okay, booked and busy. But in addition to that, they own a spa together, and they also have other various things. So I said all that to say, no matter what, though, they always once a week find time, no excuses, to get together, support each other through a margarita night. Yep. So it just blows my mind, right? How like the actors, like how they are finding time, but yet most people will go, I don't have it. I don't have the time to do something that's gonna help me be my best. That's wild. That's wild to me. It is wild to me. Are you hearing? Because like we just talked about language, right? Yeah. What you are saying is, I don't have time to be the best version of myself.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not going to make time for me.
I'm not. That's it. I am not going to make time to be the best version of myself. And when it's said like that, I hope it is as jarring as it's meant to be. Yeah. I am actively choosing not to make time to be the best version of myself.
Yeah. I just restarted watching it before I came to Long Beach, and I'm watching it while I'm here. Starting back with season 1 because it's refreshing. Small town, as you stated, some of the things that are going on, it could literally happen in present day real life, right? But it's those poured out. So that's what they say when they get together for these margarita nights. It's they make different types of margaritas, and then they say, let's pour it out, and they talk about whatever has happened in that week. Kind of similar to what we're doing with the show. Yeah. But it's and as you continue to watch it, what I love about it is that they challenge each other. in the different
Mhm.
spaces of their life, right?
Mhm.
They get upset with each other.
Yep.
They disagree with each other, but
Yeah.
and still in that they're able to come back and celebrate one another and
Yeah.
talk through why I disagree with you,
Yeah.
right? Yet
Yeah.
still respect the decision that you make. And we don't have at least in my spaces, we don't have a lot of those types of conversations. We disagree with someone and it's like shut them off. I'm not asking them, not nothing else. And it's like, well, let's talk about why you disagree, because your experiences are going to be different from somebody else's. And just because you don't agree with what I plan to do or how I'm thinking about something doesn't take away from me wanting to celebrate you. It doesn't take away from all the years that I've been there for you. Like one incident doesn't have to shape everything moving forward. But we
Yep.
do that. And then we find ourselves alone and say, I wish I had someone to go out with. Well, you do. They're right down the street. But because a couple of months ago y'all had a disagreement, you was like, to heck with them.
Yep.
I don't know. Maybe because we're not drinking margaritas having these conversations. I don't
You know, one margarita. No. Let me stop. Let me stop playing. Let me stop. But no, 100%. I mean, like, and as the queen, listen, I consider myself the queen of cutoff. Okay. But even in those situations, like the self-awareness and growth around going, hey, was it a boundary that they crossed, or was it something I didn't want to hear that would have helped me grow? And that to me is how I decide whether or not a relationship needs to continue. Was it a boundary that they crossed? And if it was a boundary that they crossed, then nah, we good, right? Especially if I've established what that boundary is. But if it was something that challenged me and made me run off, then that actually may be the kind of person that I need to be in a friendship with, in a relationship with, right? Somebody watching says being able to learn through disagreement and grow together is something I'm embracing in this new journey. Okay, look, come
yeah.
on.
Yeah. Because I mean, why do I want to be around people that don't challenge and help me grow? We help each other grow. Like,
That
why do you constantly want to be in spaces where people are stagnant and making
that
excuses of why they can't? Can't is an
yes,
inability. You're choosing not to. Like, if you literally can't do something, that's one thing, right? But then that's the other piece of your inability to do, right? Like, I don't want to do it. Say that, you know. I think about the space, kind of going back to time. Like, I don't have time. You do. You have the same time I do. Now, your priorities may be a little different. And so you have to be more strategic in how you make time, as opposed to me having different priorities. But you're choosing not to. It's not that you can't do it, you're choosing not to. And so I'd rather people say, I don't want to hang out with you, or I don't want to take this trip, rather than saying I can't because I got this and the kids and oh, I got work. And I'm like, those are excuses. I don't care about none of that. I'm caring about, why don't you want to do this? Is it because you feel guilty for leaving your family to go take care of self? And that's a whole situation in itself there.
yeah,
So people need to get, and including myself daily, getting really clear on who we are and how we want our life to be,
yes.
rather than always talking about what our life is not because I have X, Y, and Z. Because
Mm,
some of the things that many people have, others see it as a blessing because they're not able to have that, for like kids, for example, right?
mhm.
And we take some of these things lighthearted and say, oh, you better be glad you don't have those issues. It's like, okay, I wonder why. I think it's more so how people tackle issues. And when
Yeah,
you're around a group of people, whether it's one or two other people that you can trust and they can challenge you in those spaces, oh my gosh, your perspective shifts. And it's not because, oh, they're experiencing the same thing. I've had some of the best conversations with folks that have kids and I don't have kids
yeah.
about kids, right? And so I just hope that people get to a space where they can have, magnolias signifies perseverance.
Mm,
And so when you gather your group of magnolias, there's a sense of perseverance that's there through the conversations, the challenging moments, the celebration moments. All of that is around perseverance. And so I challenge people to find at least 2 or 3 magnolias.
Ooh, that's a good challenge this week. That's where we're gonna hang our hat today. I want you, even if you don't get a chance to get together with them this week, right? Because we know how schedules go. Yeah. I want you to identify your magnolias, okay? Your sweet magnolias. If you have no idea who those are, like that's the challenge right there, okay? Who are the people that can be a part of your nurture community so that when there are moments, and that you don't just wait for moments of catastrophe, right? Yeah. That you also are spending time allowing yourself to be surrounded by people who challenge you, who help you grow, who you can lay down burdens with, because life can be unkind, if that makes sense. But this week, there were 2 challenges in here this week, but the last one that we're extending to you is who are your sweet magnolias that I'm gonna ask that next week. I want folks to come back and let us know who their sweet magnolias are in the chat. Y'all, that's it. It's 30 minutes. It flies by every time. But it's so wonderful to have you guys here for the Power Nap. We will see you next Sunday, 10 a.m., 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we cannot wait to see you. Listen, one last thing. If you don't know who your sweet magnolias are, then a perfect place for you to identify a few more of those folks is at our Strategic Rest Summit. Okay, that will be June 6th through 8th. We're going to be there with a group full of people who are locked into strategic rest, creating their plan for what it looks like and learning about themselves all around the concept of our NAP framework for leadership. Okay. So in just a second, you'll see some information about how to get your ticket. They are flying off the shelves every time Dr. K gets that little beep, beep, beep. She sends me a message and I'd be like, oh, we've got Erica right here already talking about she got her ticket. I think Dorisha's got her ticket. So the folks are in there. Y'all, this is limited, okay? Because remember, we're creating a group here that's around, that's like those magnolias, okay? So this is not for everybody, nor are there tickets for everybody. So this is a small curated group of special people who are ready to really lock in around strategic rest and then model it for the people that they lead in their lives. All right, folks, we're getting out of here. Dr. K, you better get back safely from California so I can see you in the next few days. Again, y'all, we'll see you back here at the Power Nap Live on Sundays at 10 a.m. Central, 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Bye, folks. See you soon. Bye. Bye.
Join us for an immersive experience that redefines leadership through the lens of strategic rest in Greensboro, North Carolina, June 6th through the 8th, 2025. We'll see you there.